going to tell you a story that the government doesn't want you to hear. In 1953, alien spacecrafts simultaneously landed at 13 sites around the world. The seemingly peaceful creatures made attempts to communicate with a series of strange symbols and hieroglyphics. Top scientists were assembled to translate the strange alien language, the fate of humanity hanging in the balance.
Wait, hold on. That's Amy Adams. This didn't happen. This is the plot to that movie Arrival.
Boo! The fun police are here. Why does everything have to be true? You know what? I don't even care. Whatever.
Aliens never delivered a secret language to humanity. But in 1953, humanity did discover a secret language. The language of life. DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Its molecular structure was described in 1953 by Rosalind Franklin, James Watson, Francis Crick, and Maurice Wilkins. You've probably heard of DNA from either an episode of CSI or one of those mail-order heredity services, but that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how important DNA actually is. It's literally the coding language of life. Cells use DNA instructions to build every living thing on Earth, the same way a computer programmer uses HTML instructions to build a website. The difference is programmers know how HTML works, but scientists have only started to understand the mind-bendingly complex language of DNA. But if someday, way off in the future, humanity is somehow able to become completely fluent in the language of life, we'll basically be able to create and edit organisms like a god, bending nature to our collective will. So what exactly is DNA? I keep showing you these big screens full of ATGC code, but DNA is actually a physical thing in our bodies, right? So let me explain the connection between the physical DNA in your body and the code that you see on the screen here. As everyone knows, all living things are made out of cells, and inside of every eukaryotic cell you'll find a nucleus, which your science textbook probably describes as the control center of the cell, and that's because that's where the DNA is. At this magnification, DNA looks like a long, stringy molecule all bunched up like spaghetti. But if we zoom in even further, down to the molecular level, we'll see that it's actually a long, twisted ladder, or double helix, with billions and billions of steps. Pay attention to those steps, because the order that they're in is the thing that actually creates the language of DNA. Each step can be one of 4 chemicals: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine, or A, T, G, and C. Write out all the steps in the ladder, and there we have it, the DNA code. This process of writing out the steps in the ladder is known as sequencing. The first full human genome sequence took 23 years and cost $5 billion. Now, in 2022, less than 20 years later, you can get your own DNA fully sequenced from a mail-order service for $300. That's right, you can essentially right-click your own body and show source code for $300. But don't get too excited. This is something that a lot of people don't understand about the world of genetics. Just because we can sequence all 3.3 billion letters in the human genome, that doesn't mean we can understand any of it. All the sequencing did was reveal the code. Before we can put any of it to good use, first we have to decipher the code.
So you're telling me that humanity has stumbled upon a mysterious language, and if our top scientists are able to decipher its complexities, life-altering powers will be bestowed upon those who can harness it? Interesting. And you probably also want me to believe that it's a coincidence that this is literally the plot to that movie Arrival. Interesting. That's all I have to say. Interesting.
So the language of life is sitting right here in front of us. But it didn't come with a translation guide, and look at it. It's completely indecipherable. Where do we even begin figuring this out? Well, nature did give us one big clue. That's going to be the starting point for this whole endeavor. Can you guess what it is? It's pretty obvious if we zoom back out to my photorealistic drawing of a person. we can see the results of the DNA. Like, this specific DNA sequence created this specific person. This slightly different DNA sequence created this slightly different person. This DNA sequence created this cat. This other DNA sequence created this giraffe. We can study the physical differences between organisms and then the corresponding differences in their DNA sequences to start linking pieces of the DNA to specific traits. Like, I have green eyes and my sister has brown eyes. That's definitely reflected somewhere in our DNA. We just have to find it in the sea of 3.3 billion letters. That's what we're going to talk about next time. 3 strategies that scientists are using to find specific pieces of DNA code that are linked to specific traits.